It's Thursday, the 5th of March, from the MEN newsroom. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. Scrap the charges. Senior doctors say prescriptions should be free.
Get 3 items. It's a day do, isn't it?
Do you think they should be free for everyone?
I do, yeah. Of course they should. It's people's health, isn't it?
Also coming up, memories of the miners' strike. 25 years to the day since it started.
I was forced back to work because the government was trying all the dirty tricks they could try. They made me, well, they didn't cut my electric off, they put me a 50p meter in and I've no 50p to put in it.
And remembering life in World War II, we speak to the sister of a woman whose diaries are being compared to those of Anne Frank.
We could hear the SSR in the house, you know, going up and down, and we expected them to come into our flat, but they never did.
Good afternoon. Our top story is the call for all prescriptions to be handed out free of charge. The British Medical Association says we should follow the example of Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland in making the change. With more on this, here's Claire Fallon.
£7.10. That's how much it'll cost me to go into a pharmacy and get the medications on a prescription. It's the standard prescription charge in England. But now the British Medical Association says it wants that charge to be scrapped. It says that the prescription charge is unfair because at the moment in the rest of the UK, prescriptions are either free or they're about to become free.
Get 3 items. It's a day do, isn't it?
Do you think they should be free for everyone?
I do, yeah. Of course they should. It's people's health, isn't it?
So if you're buying a costly medicine and probably £7 for one prescription, which may cost you £30, something like that, probably it's good. Sometimes if you're buying a £2 medicine, for which you have to pay £7.
The BMA argues that not only is the system unfair, but it's also bad for our health. It says that at the moment, some patients in England aren't getting the medications that they need because they just can't afford it. A bit earlier, I went to speak to Dr. Kailesh Chand. He's from the British Medical Association and is also a GP in Tameside.
If you're suffering from asthma, respiratory diseases, heart diseases, then you end up paying for every item you write on. Quite often in areas like ours, which is a deprived area, people with low income, they come and if you write for necessary thing for them, for their treatment, quite often you get this question, Dr. Chand, which one are the most important?
The government's stance on this is that already the vast majority of prescription medications are given out for free, with pregnant women, children, pensioners and people on some benefits not having to pay for them. Also, from April the 1st, cancer patients will be eligible for free prescriptions, and health ministers say that they are currently looking at getting rid of the prescription charge for patients with some long-term conditions. Claire Fallon, Channel M News.
Thanks, Claire. The Bank of England has cut interest rates to a new low. They've been reduced from 1% to just 0.5%. The move had been widely tipped by experts. Well, let's get some instant reaction to this from our business expert, Kieran Maguire. Kieran, thank you for joining us. First of all, we've seen a lot of these reductions. Clearly, they're not working, are they?
Not really. The economy's in such a pickle that greater stimulus is required for the economy. It's good news if you're on a tracker mortgage. If you're on a fixed rate mortgage, it makes no difference. If you're renting, it makes no difference. If you're a saver, it's looking really bad news.
Now, obviously, this is good news for mortgage holders, but savers, they're being hit really hard here, aren't they?
That's right. The banks and the building societies seem very, very quick to pass on these rate cuts to savers. You're not going to get any return which is worth having anymore, and it looks like savings rates are going to be lower than inflation. So if you keep your money in the bank, you're actually worse off.
We're now at 0.5%. The Bank of England, surely they can't go any lower than this, can they?
In Japan, it's 0.1. So perhaps we've got one little cut remaining, but that's not going to make any difference. And the problem is that if you're in business, you're still borrowing at 15 or 20%. If you look at credit card debt, again, that's looking at sort of 17 or 18%. So whilst these rate cuts are good for mortgage holders, for other borrowers, there's no benefit.
So if there's only perhaps one more small cut left that the Bank of England could make in future months, what other options are available? Now, I know I've heard quantitative easing mentioned.
That's right. What's going to happen with quantitative easing is that the Bank of England, which has the ability to print money itself, is going to go to companies and to go to the banks and say, give us your assets and we'll give you cash for them. Now, in theory, the banks are going to have more cash so they can lend more. Companies are going to have more cash so therefore they can invest. If they invest, they've got to employ people. If they start employing people, we start spending. So therefore that increases demand and slowly the economy gets back on its feet again.
So I suppose this is different to just printing money, but this has been tried in other countries, hasn't it? Japan's tried this before and even that hasn't worked.
That's right. I mean, Japan had a 10-year recession in the 1990s. It slashed its interest rates again and again and again. It didn't work, and in the end it took this step. Now, the reason why historically we've been reluctant to take this action is this is what happened in the Weimar Republic in the 1920s. This is what we've got in Zimbabwe at present, and you've got inflation at 231 million% there. We don't want that here in the UK.
OK, Kieran, thanks very much for joining us this lunchtime, making sense of those numbers for us. A man has indecently exposed himself to a woman in Little Hulton. The 47-year-old woman was walking on some grass near Old Lane and Old Wells Close on Saturday afternoon when he came up to her and asked the time. He then grabbed her as she tried to walk away. Police tell us he was in his early 20s, around 6'1" tall and with a distinctive chipped front tooth. A search is on for a gang who tried to break through the ceiling of a bank in Poynton but misjudged where they were digging and ended up coming through the shop next door instead. The would-be robbers were trying to break through from a disused office above the Royal Bank of Scotland but ended up in the Wendy house next door. They'd started a second hole but ran out of time before daybreak. Police say even if they had got through, it's unlikely they'd have been able to access the vault. Police have released on bail a man they've questioned on suspicion of murdering a woman from Ramsbottom. Michelle Howard was taken to hospital with serious head injuries after being found collapsed at the foot of the stairs of a house on Regent Street last month. She was later pronounced dead. It claimed the spark, which started the year-long miners' strike exactly 25 years ago to the day, was a mistake. A new book has been published to mark the anniversary. It claims that staff at the Cortonwood colliery near Barnsley walked out wrongly thinking their pit was one of those earmarked for closure. Up to 200,000 workers ended up on picket lines in what became a mighty battle between the National Union of Mine Workers and the Conservative government of the day. Well, Kevin Duffy's out now reliving the turmoil of those times with a retired miner who was there.
Yes, James, thanks. Now, the miners' strike of 1984 changed the political landscape, it changed the social landscape, and it changed the economic landscape irreversibly. And with me is Joe Gorringe. He was a miner at the time, and he was on strike for 11 weeks out of the year-long dispute. Joe, what was it like in those days?
Well, at the beginning, it was jolly, you know, week off work is like holiday. Then it became very serious.
What was it all about?
It was called by the Yorkshire miners because they had a statute on the books as they would, if they shut a colliery in Yorkshire, they would automatically come out on strike. And they shut Cortonwood colliery, and that's where it originated from.
How did it affect you?
Well, at the beginning it didn't affect me. Then all of a sudden I had no money. I was running out of money, and then I was forced back to work because the government was trying all the dirty tricks they could try. They made me, well, they didn't cut my electric off. They put me a 50p meter in, and I had no 50p to put in it.
It split communities.
It didn't only split them; it shattered communities. You know, fathers not talking to sons, sons not talking to fathers, and you know, and it was very sad to see it happen. And
do you feel it was worth everything that you went through?
Not really, because at the end of the day, it shut away and shut all the pits. If Arthur had united us instead of dividing us, we could probably have defeated her.
That's Arthur Scargill, the miners' union leader.
Union leader. He wouldn't give us a national ballot, which we wanted a national ballot, so it would to call a national strike.
Looking back now, any regrets?
I regret there's so many collieries that have shut, and you know there's no mines anymore, or the communities have gone.
Joe, thanks very much for talking to us. Well, there you have it. There'll be lots of people just like Joe casting their mind back over the next few days. The miners' strike of '84 is widely regarded as one of the most significant industrial disputes since the general strike of 1926. Back to you.
Thanks, Kevin. A Rochdale woman's been put in prison for 5 months for lying about being raped after a night out with friends. Lauren Chaffee claimed a man she'd met during the evening started attacking her after getting out of a taxi with her. He was then held by police for 24 hours while they investigated. She was only found out when officers checked text messages between her and her friends, which gave away the true story. A walker from Manchester has been rescued from Snowdon for the second time in 5 months. The alarm was raised after 2 other walkers found the 42-year-old lying with a leg injury on one of the main routes to the summit. He'd slipped about 50 feet and was placed in a special stretcher and taken by helicopter to hospital in Bangor. The same man had been found suffering from hypothermia and covered in hail and snow at the summit last October. All of Greater Manchester's councils have been rated as improving in a new league table. It's the final time the star ratings will be awarded. Here you can see the results for the last time they were checked in 2007. All of them have either maintained their performance from them or improved. If we now look at the ratings for 2008, you can see that Bury and Rochdale have both got extra stars. All of them, though, have been judged to be improving well, apart from Oldham, which has improved adequately, and Bolton and Stockport, which have improved strongly. As a reward, council staff in Stockport have been given an extra day off for their hard work. We've been asking people there what they make of it.
Well, I'm a council tenant and I see that the work that's been done on the place I live. It's certainly improved it. Kitchen, bathroom refitted. So yes, I'm quite pleased that way.
I think people should have a reward for what they've done. I've noticed improvements in the council. The streets, the sweeping of the streets and the collection of the refuse. They're getting earlier and earlier and they're very quick.
One day is not much, is it? You know, they do a lot of walk around, but they could do a bit more. I've got allotment and they could do a bit of cleaning up there, but they haven't done anything. They could do some work there.
Time to take a look now at the lunchtime sports headlines with the details. Here's Sam Goodman.
Thank you, James. Well, Manchester United are once again 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They defeated Newcastle 2-1, despite going 1-0 down after Edwin van der Sar's mistake. Wayne Rooney equalised just shortly before half the hour. Dimitar Berbatov tapped in from close range. And the other results, Manchester City defeated Aston Villa through Elano's penalty and Sean Wright-Phillips. Stoke City put 2 past Bolton, while Wigan lost 1-0 in a heated game at home to West Ham, in which Lee Cattermole was sent off for the Latics. And we'll have highlights from those games in our news bulletin at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Well, keeping with football, and Lord Peter Snape looks to challenge former Stockport County Managing Director Mark Maguire to take over the League One side. Both parties are putting together private consortia to rescue the financially strapped club. And in boxing, Jamie Moore looks to capture the European title tomorrow night when he takes on Italian veteran Michele Piccirillo. And to start off our big fight build-up, we've been speaking to fight promoter Frank Maloney.
It's been a long time, you know. Jamie Moore is one of them fighters. He's the fighter's fighter. Everyone loves him. Everyone wants to see him. And really, he's one of the best fighters in the country. But he's just been plagued with unlucky and a bit of injury. Now it's all passed behind him. And hopefully his career will go forward. We can kickstart it into fast gear. This is a tougher fight than the last one. This guy is world ranked. He's fought for 2 world titles. He's been the champion. He beat Mike Jones from Britain. You know, we know how good this fighter is, and he knows how good he is. And Italian fighters are very good. They're never really in wars because they're class fighters, and they're very good with the skillful boxing. So he's going to try and mess Jamie about and try and outbox Jamie. It's going to be a very interesting fight.
Well, the fighting talk has begun between Amir Khan and Marco Antonio Barrera ahead of their fight a week on Saturday. The Mexican claimed the Bolton boxer is nothing special, while Khan, who's just returned from a 6-week training camp in California, has vowed to end the Mexican's career. In rugby, Sale Sharks' Dwayne Peel will start for Wales in their next Six Nations match against Italy. It'll be the first time he's played for his country since their victory over Italy itself last year. Well, Lee Jewett has been added to the 19-man Salford City Red squad to face Harlequins at the Willows on Friday. Jewett missed out last week through illness, but returns in place of the injured Willie Talau. And finally, one of Manchester's favourite sons, Darren Campbell, has been honoured at a prestigious ceremony after being awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award. Claire Dixon got his reaction.
I think I'm still a little bit shocked because, like, I don't know, I've had a bit of a funny week this week, and you question if people are appreciating everything you're doing. Not so much Manchester, but, you know, just when you've had one of those weeks. And again, I jump in my car this morning. I speak to about 60 teachers in Worcester, and then I continue my journey on here. And, you know, again, I give my time, and then yeah, that happens. It's like, oh my gosh. Because normally you're prepared and you kind of know that you've won something, and yeah, didn't have a clue.
Now, you were described as an ambassador of sporting Manchester, an idol to many. How did that feel hearing those words?
I don't do what I do, I guess, really to, you know, for awards or anything like that. I do it because I want to do it, and because I take the title of a role model as something important. And you know, I'd like to believe if for any reason I wasn't here, people would want to inspire my children to go on and again just be the best that they can be. So I'm in a very fortunate position where, because of the stuff that I've achieved, people do hold me up there, and you know, like, as everybody knows, I do it because I love doing it, and it's important to me. So
well done to Darren, and that's all the sport from me for now.
Thanks very much, Sam. That is all from you for now, but you have been doing some horsing around that we'll be seeing later on as well.
I've been to meet a local jockey who's hoping to have a good day at the Grand National early next month.
Oh, well, we'll look forward to seeing more about that later in the programme. All that's still to come, and we take a look at the World War II memories through the eyes of a woman whose sister witnessed some of its darkest moments.
There's a picture that always stayed in my mind, looking out of the window of the train and my mother standing with Ruth, you know, together. That is a picture that's always in my mind.
This is Channel M's Lunchtime News. Welcome back. Don't forget, you can always log on to our website, channelm.co.uk, to see all our latest reports. On there right now, a look at what those major cuts at ITV could mean for staff at the Granada studios here in Manchester, and pictures from a school that's using dance mats to make sure its pupils are getting enough exercise. That's at channelm.co.uk. Personal war diaries that have been compared to Anne Frank's have just been published. They belong to Austrian war victim Ruth Meyer, who was a teenager when war broke out and who was murdered in Hitler's camps. Beverly Walkden has been to meet her sister Judith, who's living in Altrincham.
Judith Schusitzi fled Austria for Britain as a child. This is the same suitcase she and her mother stuffed their treasured belongings into to escape Hitler's troops. Judith's father died in 1933, leaving them the case. Now all it contains are memories.
And we could hear the SSR in the house, you know, going up and down, and we expected them to come into our flat, but they never did. We were very, very lucky to escape, very lucky to escape.
In 1938, Judith's mother managed to get a job as a domestic helper with a rich family. Her older sister Ruth, though, went to Norway to finish off her education. It was a decision that would later cost her her life.
There's a picture that always stayed in my mind, looking out of the window of the train and my mother standing with Ruth, you know, together. That is a picture that's always in my mind.
Ruth was gassed in Auschwitz at the age of 22. She'd kept a diary about her experiences, about love and relationships. It was discovered in 1995 by a writer who was captivated by Ruth's story, how she developed feelings for a woman and had questioned what it meant to be Jewish. All those years later, Judith says the diary brought her sister back to life.
She had this love for acting, and she would sit on the toilet and recite, you know, read Schiller plays, you know, recite them sitting on the toilet. I remember that.
The diaries have been used as the basis of a book, Ruth Meyer's Diary, A Young Girl's Life Under Nazism, and it gives a unique insight into the short life of a victim of war. Beverly Walkden for Channel M News.
Heat from cremations is to be used to warm the chapel at Duckinfield Crematorium. Tameside Council's agreed a deal with a company in the area to fit the necessary equipment. Town Hall officials say it'll power the boiler and the lights. Religious leaders are supporting the sensitive issue of mourners being warmed by the heat generated by their loved ones being cremated. Now, it's usually parents who help their children with their maths homework, but for one family in Reddish, things are the other way around. Sue Bredbury is taking her maths GCSE as a mature student, and her young son Ben has been helping her with her homework. The 8-year-old's a pupil at Greenbank Prep School in Cheadle Hulme and has been rated by an educational psychologist as being in the top 0.1% of the population for intelligence, with a particular talent for numeracy. Next, it's always any jockey's dream to get to ride around Aintree on Grand National Day, and for one amateur rider, she's just one stage away from realising that ambition and has a chance of winning £50,000 for charity. Michelle Baldwin's been speaking to our reporter Sam Goodman.
I've entered into the John Smith's People Race to be given the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to ride Aintree on Grand National Day. I've chosen the Bob Champion Cancer Trust because to me it was a natural choice. Bob Champion is a legend. He won the Grand National after being extremely sick with cancer against all the odds. He went on to win it on Ordinity, so he's got the affiliation with the Grand National. And Aintree, he's inspirational. He is my legend, my hero. He said he's going to buy me a pint, so I can't wait to sit down and have a pint with Bob Champion. That would definitely be something to tell the grandkids.
I've heard through the grapevine this year that they are very, the standard is very, very high. But again, Michelle rides equally as well as Lisa and Amanda has done that we've had in the past. So that's all we've really got to compare to. Yeah, but she compares very favourably with those two. And fingers crossed, I'd be very disappointed if she doesn't get in anyway.
I mean, what an opportunity to ride on the legendary racecourse that is, Aintree on Grand National Day. It would be almost every horse rider's dream, never mind every jockey's dream, never mind your everyday horse rider. It would be amazing.
Finally, for now, you might have heard of many a football team having a lucky mascot, but perhaps never one quite like this. Driving instructor Mick Cullen takes his pet goldfish out with his 5-a-side teammates in Staley Bridge. Friends who play together every week decided to splash out on the team pet last year, and in honour of his status, the fish joins them on a pub crawl twice a year. He's even got his own Facebook page, and his owner tells us if ever his bowl needs a top-up, it never costs them a penny. Let's hope it's only water that ends up in the bowl. Time now for the lunchtime weather. Here's Michelle Eagleton.
Well, we were expecting a lot of frost this morning. Now, we didn't have that much. I know Warrington suffered from a little bit of sleet, but later on this afternoon, we are going to see some of those snow showers really creeping in, especially in higher ground areas like Oldham and Rochdale. They'll see the bulk of it. Now, highs are between 4 and 6, so very, very chilly indeed. If you are going outdoors today, then do wrap up nice and warm. Get your gloves, get your hat, get your scarves. I think you're going to need all of it because it is very, very chilly, like I say. Now, it's staying dry, though, mainly throughout the morning and into the afternoon and the evening. As I say, we are going to see a few of those snowy showers. They should stop by tonight, by about 7, 8 o'clock. It really will clear up and we are in for a very nice night indeed. Now make the most of that because the rain's on its way back for tomorrow. A mixture of sunshine and showers expected for Friday. Saturday, mainly rainy. Sunday, same kind of picture as Friday, and Monday, get those brollies out for the start of the week. I'm afraid it's a rainy one.
This is Channel M, our top stories. Senior doctors are calling for prescription charges here in England to be scrapped. The British Medical Association is worried some patients could find it too expensive to buy all the medication they need. Interest rates have been cut yet again. The Bank of England's announced it's reducing them to 0.5%. And all of Greater Manchester's councils have been told they're improving in the latest set of ratings. Those are the latest headlines, and that was the Lunchtime News. We'll have more on all those stories with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock this evening, but from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.